Hello, I'm Pioneer Dairy Specialist Dan Bolinger, and for today's Feed for Thought, I'd like to review with you what defines the optimal timing for taking corn for silage. We have to remind ourselves it's actually a balancing act that we're working with when we're looking at when to take corn for silage. There's two things that we're trying to consider. One is we want to maximize and optimize the amount of starch deposition that is in the kernels. Therefore, we can increase the starch content of our final feed as well as increase our tonnage potential. On the other side of the equation, we have the desire to have healthier plants while we take it for silage that maintain fiber digestibility and also assures adequate moisture for packing and fermentation in the silo. So what are we looking at to help us balance those when we go out to the field? The first thing we want to consider is the milk line or the physiological progression of the kernels themselves. So we snap an ear and we look on the underside of the kernels and we watch the progression of the milk line from the outer dense side of the kernel down towards the cob. In this particular instance, we're looking at about a third to a half milk line, which is oftentimes associated with optimal timing for corn silage harvest. On this side of the row, we have a slightly different maturity hybrid that actually is demonstrating very similar milk line progression. Does that mean they're both ready to go for silage at the exact same time? Not necessarily. As we look down this in between these rows, you might note that the one on the left has a little bit more green and plant health to it than the one on the right. So that gives us an opportunity with the healthier plant for us to have the grain mature that much further, capture that much more starch and yield potential while still maintaining the fiber digestibility and the moisture for packing and siling. The one on the right, unfortunately, has a little bit less plant health, possibly under a little bit more stress. As a result, we might not be able to capture quite as much starch, at least at the optimal timing of harvest, while maintaining the fiber digestibility and moisture. So therefore, this one we might want to take relatively soon, while this one over here might be able to capture some more starch for several more days and give us a little bit more economic punch as we take it out of the field. It's not just genetics like we're seeing here that tend to swing the balance between starch and fiber digestibility. Also, growing environment has a huge influence. Stress plants, for instance, under droughty conditions towards harvest time, will oftentimes cause the plant to decrease in health and moisture content more rapidly than the natural progression of the kernel. In that scenario, it's not uncommon to have 1/4 milk line and having a whole plant dry matter approaching the upper 30s, where if we have a healthy plant, we might be able to get it 3/4 milk line and still be well within the 30% dry matter range. And that gives us a more profitable, more ideal forage in those scenarios. I hope you have a great harvest, and I hope you appreciate this feed for thought as you try to optimize your tonnage as well as your quality that you want to produce for your animals.